I'm Josh Gerstein. I'm a senior legal affairs reporter with Politico, and along with Alexander Ward, we broke the story about the draft Supreme Court majority opinion that would overturn Roe versus Wade, the landmark decision guaranteeing a federal constitutional right to abortion in the United States. Chief Justice John Roberts has acknowledged that the opinion that Politico published is actually a genuine draft opinion from the court. He's described the breach of confidence and what he called a breach of trust as very troubling to him, and he said he's ordered an investigation by the Marshal of the Supreme Court. What really grabs you in this draft opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito is just how far Alito is willing to go to basically trash that opinion that is almost 50 years old at this point. He is withering in his criticism of the reasoning in the Roe versus Wade opinion. He's brutal about its assessment of history. He vigorously disputes some of the legal conclusions in there and a lot of the logic and rationale of the opinion. Well, one big question that's left after seeing this opinion is, even if there may have been 5 justices who backed it at some point or backed the general idea in the opinion, is that going to be the final result? We're probably about 8 weeks away from learning what the court will do. What we don't know for sure is, will this opinion change between now and the end of June or the beginning of July, which is when we expect that final opinion? Or will there be any sort of drift by the justices? And so the question that's left outstanding at the moment is it possible that Roberts may be able to persuade one justice, perhaps out of that 5-justice grouping, to cross over, join with him, and come to a more moderate, middle-of-the-road centrist resolution of that case that might preserve Roe versus Wade in some form. The opinion does leave open a number of questions whether it would impact other decisions from the Supreme Court, both historical ones going back decades, for example, guaranteeing the right to contraception, at least for married couples, and coming into more modern times, perhaps rulings like finding a federal constitutional right to same-sex marriage. A lot of these decisions are based in the notion of privacy or bodily integrity, and Alito goes out of his way to say, no, we can erase the Roe v. Wade precedent for abortion without affecting any of those other decisions. The question is that plausible? I'm not aware of any prior case where you've actually had a Supreme Court draft opinion publicly released and exposed by a news outlet in advance of the final decision in that case. It's a very secretive institution. Most of the time, you don't hear a lot beyond the official arguments and the official opinions that come out from the court. I think there's all kinds of political fallout that we're already seeing happen. Democrats hope that the notion that Roe versus Wade is under threat, even though they don't like that threat, will be an activating force for them in the upcoming congressional elections and maybe even in presidential elections. On the Republican side, I think there's a bit of jitteriness that the notion that Roe versus Wade is in jeopardy could affect particularly women, moderate women voters who may traditionally vote Republican, but might feel that getting rid of Roe versus Wade is a step too far. We do think that going forward, it probably will affect the court's internal deliberations. Again, hard to say exactly how the justices, when they discuss cases, retreat into their private conference room. No one other than those 9 justices goes inside with them when they're having that discussion. But you would have to think that the tone of those meetings and those exchanges will be a bit different going forward than it was before this document was released. Indeed, Chief Justice Roberts' statement about it strongly suggests that it's something that the justices view as very disappointing, and it may well affect their deliberations. We already seen some early protests at the court from both sides of the abortion issue. If the issue becomes even more heated in the coming weeks, maybe that's something the justices will also take into account as they come to a final resolution in this case.